we must get to a place where the technology has a safe layer or a comfortable layer for the average person to use. So we need to build better rails.
Richard, just want to make sure you're still with us. I know there's a typhoon happening in Singapore. You're fine? All good? Okay. I'm sure there are a lot of questions from the audience. Let me start with the first one.
Sure.
Richard, this goes to you. Both of you, you've spoken a lot about fashion, obviously, and again, goes to the original question, what do we actually do in the metaverse? Is this just a place to wear NFTs, or is it also a place to socialize, maybe to eat something, to consume content? Because this is obviously relevant for anyone operating outside of the fashion retail space.
At the moment, there are limited opportunities for anyone to go into the metaverse and do anything. Decentraland is very much more a social experience, although there are certain elements where you can accumulate points and rewards for completing certain tasks. Sandbox is very much built around a gaming environment, but there are up and coming different metaverse experiences which are being built on Unreal Engine specifically as being the leading game engine, which if you're not familiar is basically what Fortnite is built on and allows for lots of high quality rendering and real-time animation. And I think what you'll find is multiple opportunities for different ways to engage and earn and be a participant in the metaverse. From my perspective, and it's quite old school, but I do firmly believe that probably the biggest earner in the short to medium term will be advertising, but not advertising as we know it in the real world. It will be driven by the owners of the products, the digital assets, being able to promote that on behalf of the brands that they have purchased them from.
Let me put this question to you, because you actually responded to it before I put it to you. You said, this is more than just a hype. This is not a fad. Why not?
So from a personal experience, I've lived through Web 1 and Web 2 and Web 3. You know, for those that remember Web 1, it was the first time we were able to open an email or maybe go to a website, something like that. Web 2, of course, in many people's minds is the blooming of social media and e-commerce. So in the world of Web 3, what we have today is great guys like Richard and others, including myself, who are trying to show the world examples of what we believe are interactions that the average everyday person could have within a metaversal experience or within the Web 3. So in my mind, today, we're really stuck on art, which is incredible because a tremendous number of artists have been able to actualize, for the first time, real money.
We saw that a lot of the art NFTs that have actually fallen in value quite dramatically given the crypto winter. How do we know that wouldn't necessarily happen with fashion NFTs?
So in my mind, there's two views. There's the NFTs that go up in price, but there's also this idea of stable NFTs or stable coins, meaning that we're using NFTs not for the purpose of increasing the value of a digital good, but for everyday interactions.
Richard, we heard during the poll that some of the companies here that are present here don't necessarily have a metaverse strategy yet. How easy, how straightforward is it to build one, to get into a strategy? Is it too late, for example? Should you have started it 2 years ago? Do you have to work with artists that are established in that space?
If you're coming into it now, which is absolutely the right time, people can sit on the fence a bit longer until they can work out exactly what they want to do. But the important thing is, if you want to get into this space, is to define what do you actually want this to do? If you're a retailer, if you're a brand, if you're an insurance company, if you're a car manufacturer, I would be looking at this now and saying, this is an opportunity for you to get another level, which could potentially be an even a higher level of CRM. If you imagine that token is a combination of a Starbucks loyalty card and a Black Amex. These are the things that you can either give to your community, your customers, like I say, your CRM, and bring them closer to you for both your real life experience and for future metaverse type experiences. But I would certainly recommend people look at building an in-house team that at least gets them to understand and develop that strategy.
Audience questions?
Hi there. How does Web3 technology become available to everyone?
I believe that we need an inroad that's going to onboard your aunt, my aunt, the next 100 million, next 100 billion wallets. And you hear a tremendous number of people in the space talk about it. What does the next 100 million wallets look like? Because the next 100 million wallets will not be first adopters like myself and Richard and others in this room. It's going to be, the average person that really doesn't care about the technologies. And the problem today is that with Web3 and the Metaverse, it's still very much in your face. The average person doesn't want to know what a smart contract is or doesn't want to worry about a blockchain. That scares a lot of people hearing the word blockchain, These are terms that are really scary because they're unknowns. So we got to get to a place, we must get to a place where the technology has a safe layer or a comfortable layer for the average person to use. So we need to build better rails, and we're getting there. We're getting to a place, and I mentioned Starbucks, a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but truly I think Starbucks, who have announced that they are going to bring their loyalty program on-chain, I think that's going to be huge.
Final question for me, Richard, let me address you, and maybe Jeff, you want to weigh in on that too. A lot of the companies in this room, and in fashion and in retail in general, sustainability is absolutely key. That's a part of their key strategy. So can that ever go hand in hand with having a metaverse strategy?
I think, yes, Bitcoin specifically and Ethereum to some degree do, by their current structure, emit quite a high level of CO2, which is probably because of the power consumption. The Ethereum merge is in process now. It's actually, the first stage happened earlier this week, and the second stage will, fingers crossed, happen somewhere around the 15th. When that goes through, it's actually going to reduce by every forecast by 99.5% of the power consumption. So everybody that's been in this space for a few years has known this, has been waiting for it, has accepted that even at this stage, yes, it is a very power consuming element, and it's definitely not good. But nor are cars, nor are airplanes, nor are ships, nor are light bulbs, nor are anything that we consume in life. Everybody involved in this space has been working and pushing towards this low cost, low power consumption transition, which is in the process of happening right now. So I think it will not be a topic of conversation within a matter of months.
Sure, briefly.
Yeah, I agree with that. For those that the merge, which is this term that's all over the news, is this transition from this proof of work, as Richard said, which uses computational power, to this idea of proof of stake, which means that people are essentially putting their money up and saying, and it's going to decrease the power consumption for sure. So I agree. I think we're going to get away from it. But the unfortunate thing is, just like the banking system that requires computers to confirm and assert the ownership of the dollars, euros, whatever currency we have, we do need some power to be able to do that as well. And the big question is that power usage beneficial to the common good of man in the future? And my hope is yes.
Jeff and Richard, you've given us a lot to think about. Thank you so much for your inputs.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.